Thank you for watching the Citizens Report. My name is William Donahue. For today's show, the main topic is globalism, which is a one world government where everybody is a global citizen. So we've already kind of seen this like halfway rolled out with the United Nations, NATO, the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, and other things of that nature, the Trilateral Commission. So when I cover news, I know that they think about the world as a whole. So I cover the news, the world news as a whole, so that different things can be tied together. So what they want is for a unified reaction to pandemics, wars, different things of that nature. And you can see that with policies of different countries. So the idea is right now at this stage in the game is that we think we have individual nations while we're being governed by unelected global leaders. So for today I have an Israel section, a study about the COVID vaccine, some policy failures, kind of like the ideas that Nancy Pelosi comes up with, and then a section about China. Before I get into any of that, I wanted to read this Bible verse. Psalm 3, 5 through 6. I lay down and slept. I awoke, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of 10,000s of people who have set themselves against me all around. So this Bible verse, I think what he was trying to say is that he was allowed to wake up that day by God. So what does he have to fear 10,000 people for? When God's in charge and he could not allow you to wake up tomorrow if he wanted to. We need to have our faith in him and not be afraid of these global entities and stand up for our rights as citizens. So the first article I have, the global censorship racket. Australia bans independent research. So this article I just went through and highlighted a bunch of different points in it, basically pointing out everything that is going on the globe. It kind of consolidates it all. So, following the Sydney church stabbing of Bishop Mari Emanuel, the Australian police made it clear that no one is to share or read information that doesn't come directly from the police. Canada has banned news from being shared on Facebook. The narrative is set by state-run media. Scotland has pushed forward hate speech legislation that could lead to 7 years in prison if you insult a trans person, a law that has been harshly and rightly criticized by Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling. The Brazilian government is banning Twitter/X for Elon Musk not kicking off Brazilian politicians, and Australia is also telling Twitter/X that it must censor stories regarding the stabbings or face 750,000 Australian dollars in fines each day. Canada is releasing a social credit system. Germany's interior minister is saying anyone who donates to the so-called far right-wing organization should be surveilled at all times. Nigeria is launching a full-scale national ID, much like Bill Gates and the United Nations digital ID in Sierra Leone. Kenya launched a carbon credit score that is already restricting thousands from buying food. 15-minute cities, digital IDs, social credit scores, carbon credits, CBDCs, and food rations. People aren't paying attention. So that's this author's take on the world, and I agree. So my first section is Israel. Israel strikes site in Iran in retaliation for the weekend assault. So Israel has responded to Iran And this article, Israel's strike on Iran, a limited attack but a potentially big signal. So this says a limited attack. I think what they both did was limited attacks where they didn't intend on hitting any critical infrastructure. It was more of a show that you're not scared to respond, because the Middle East has always been like kind of war torn. So to not respond would be seen as weakness. So Israel and Iran both sent some missiles back and forth, and this isn't a sign of anything, but it could be. It's something to pay attention to that we won't want to let get out of hand, because, like I said in my last show, Russia's behind the one side and the United States is behind the other side. Whether or not Israel and Iran are nuclear capable, the United States and Russia are. So something to pay attention to. Increased age-adjusted cancer mortality after the third mRNA lipid nanoparticle vaccine dose during the COVID-19 pandemic in Japan. So this study found similar things to what was found in Florida, and should be definitely in the eyes of every scientist who is part of, medical research, and that this should be a major thing, setting off red flags all over. Instead, it's being ignored. So definitely a big thing. Whether or not it's true, that's part of science. Somebody does a study, more people do the study, you ask questions. The bigger the sample size, the better the information at the end. So we should be running multiple tests from different angles with different variables to figure out exactly what is causing this increase in cancer. The increase in cancer is not deniable, but whether or not it has anything to do with the vaccines is the question. So let's research, let's do some studies. So my next section is policy failures. ICE arrests illegal alien murderer released into the U.S. by Biden regime. An illegal alien who was convicted of murder in Colombia before being released into the United States by the Biden regime was arrested by immigration authorities in Connecticut. So that's what this article says. Basically proving that our border's wide open for criminals to come across. Meanwhile, the Ukraine-Russia border is our border, booms Democrat in Ukraine bill debate. So during yesterday's debate over the new Ukraine spending bill, the House of Representatives, Representative Jerry Connolly from Virginia, claimed that events on the Ukraine-Russia border should take precedence over events at the actual U.S. border with Mexico. This article is on the same thing. Beyond disappointed, Border Patrol Union scorches House passing $95 billion Ukraine bill with $0 of funding for the border. The Border Patrol Union slammed the House of Representatives for passing a $95 billion aid package for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan without supplemental aid for the open southern United States border. So policy failures like that are clear and evident, but at the same time, the United Nations has a replacement migration policy. So why would the United States think this is smart? They wouldn't. But why would the global community think this is smart? Because if you move third world people into the first world and dilute both systems, you can even it out for the global citizen, right? China. FBI chief says Chinese hackers have infiltrated critical U.S. infrastructure. So, last show I talked about Chinese nationals buying property near military bases in the United States. They have hackers that are infiltrating our infrastructure. We're over there trying to build bases in the Philippines to get close to Taiwan. We just, as you can see in this last bill, or this last article, they just passed a bill to fund Taiwan and ramp up military supplies over there. So, like I said, it's all a global concerted effort, and it all ties back to a couple different groups. Now, one of those groups is the World Economic Forum. Their leader is Klaus Schwab. He's not elected by anybody, and he wrote some books. Actually, this book right here is written in response to his book, The Great Reset. So this year he held a meeting at the Davos group. He titled the meeting "Regaining Public Trust" or something like that. So this clip is part of his speech from the opening of that meeting.
We need a paradigm shift. We must rebuild trust, and that's actually the theme of our meeting. We have to rebuild trust. Trust in our future, trust in our capacity to overcome challenges, and most importantly, trust in each other. Trust is not just a feeling. Trust is a commitment to action, to belief, to hope. To achieve this, we must rediscover and embrace the narrative that has driven humanity since its inception, acting as trustees for a better future.
So they need to gain back the public trust, like he was just saying, because people know about their policies and what they're doing. They are wide out in the open with it, and they just say the stuff, but then when we find out, they need to respond and cover it up and say, that it's for your safety or for your health or for different things. And in reality, we know what they plan because they tell us. In this clip, you'll see them telling us what they have planned.
So first off, a video. It's going to make you see the future and understand a wonderful future where we can use brainwaves to fight crime, be more productive, and find love. Let's roll.
You're in the zone. Even you can't believe how productive you've been. Your memo is finished, your inbox is under control, and you're feeling sharper than you have in a decade. Sensing your joy, your playlist shifts to your favorite song, sending chills up your spine as the music begins to play. You glance at the program running in the background on your computer screen and notice a now familiar sight that appears whenever you're overloaded with pleasure. Your theta brainwave activity decreasing in the temporal regions of your brain. You mentally move the cursor to the left and scroll through your brain data over the past few hours. You can see your stress levels rising as the deadline to finish your memo approached, causing a peak in your beta brainwave activity right before an alert popped up, telling you to take a brain break. When you arrive at work the next day, a somber cloud has fallen over the office. Along with emails, text messages, and GPS location data, the government has subpoenaed employees' brainwave data from the past year. They have compelling evidence that one of your coworkers has committed massive wire fraud. Now, they're looking for his co-conspirators. You discover they are looking for synchronized brain activity between your coworker and the people he has been working with. While you know you're innocent of any crime, you've been secretly working with him on a new startup venture. Shaking, you remove your earbuds.
What do you think? Is it a future you're ready for? You may be surprised to learn that it's a future that has already arrived. Everything in that video that you just saw is based on technology that is already here today. Artificial intelligence has enabled advances in decoding brain activity in ways that we never before thought possible.
So there it is. That's just a small look into one thing that they have their hand in. They have their hand in climate change, infrastructure, every different aspect of life, and they want to implement things like those little earbuds that can test your heart rate and different things probably through your cell phone, not through earbuds, but through different tactics and methods until they have this super security state where they're in control and you are a global citizen under a climate credit score system and all these different things that, remind you of the book 1984, the book A Brave New World, things like that. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I thank everyone for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for watching The Citizens Report with William Donahue. On this show, we search for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the world around us through the lens of an American citizen.